the Two Business Guys Mastermind on how small changes can make a big difference to your bottom line. Enjoy. This business podcast, the Two Business Guys Mastermind, uncovers for you secrets and share tips and tricks to entrepreneurship as they mastermind on how to have startup, operational, and overall business success so that you can go on to get better results. Enjoy. All right, hey everybody, welcome back. The Two Business Guys are minding today on the small changes that you make to your business, the small areas you find extra money, and how it can just have a tremendous and compounding effects. Rob is going to lead this conversation because he's a guru at what he does and being able to help companies find that money they didn't even know was there. Rob, and I know you can do it very quickly. Talk a little bit about those small improvements, those small little things that we can find that then, boom, stacked on top of each other adds to the business's bottom line. Right.
Thanks, Randy. And a lot of businesses get stuck because they're trying to, as you like to say, I love the saying that you have, a lot of people trying to boil the ocean, right? A lot of people are trying to do too much because they feel like they got to do a gargantuan amount. And I always talk to people, my clients and the groups that we coach, right? Building a business is running a marathon. It is not a sprint. And so it oftentimes doesn't matter how hard, how fast you push and all the rest of that type of stuff. You're still not going to be as far along as you think you would be, right? If you're running a marathon, it doesn't matter how fast you run mile one, you still got 25 to go. And it's important to remember that when you're looking at your business and growing the profitability, because it's actually small improvements. It's actually just little things that you can do in 5 major areas is what we generally talk about when we're talking about business. There are 5 crucial areas that you want to pay attention to, that if you can make small improvements in these 5 crucial areas, it will dramatically change your business. And those 5 areas, one is more leads. How do you get more people to know about and who are qualified wanting what your service is? Right?
More leads.
Right? More leads. Number 2, more conversions. How do you get more of those people to actually say yes, to actually give you their information, to actually follow up with you, to actually give you a call, to jump on whatever it is that you have? Number 3, how do you then have more transactions from those leads? So instead of just having, right, I was just coaching with a young lady the other day who was in the education space, and she had some workshops that she was trying to figure out how to get presented. But one of the things that she was struggling with was she was like, well, how do I make it so that I don't have to keep finding new customers, right? And it was because the educational product that she had, the problem with education as a knowledge product is once people have the knowledge, they don't need you no more. Mm-hmm. Right. So we talked about what is the reality of the knowledge. The knowledge is just step 1 in their problem solving process. They are then going to have to apply that knowledge. And so we talked about some things that she could create where now people have multiple transactions with her because she has a membership site or she has a coaching service or something like that, where now instead of 1 transaction, you might get 12 transactions a year from that same customer doing the same work to get that 1 customer, but now you got 12 transactions. So that's the 3rd thing, more transactions. 4th thing, you want to look at how do you increase the average value of your transactions.
Yeah, and we call that cart value, everybody. Y'all know what this is.
Exactly, cart value, right? And so then the 5th thing is how do you organize your business, how you set up your system so that you can have more profits from the same work, right? And so those 5 things will allow you. And a lot of people think, I've got to do a tremendous amount of work. I got to double sales. I got to triple revenue. I got to do all this type of stuff. And therefore you feel like you got to do one thing and 3x it or 4x. But the reality is, if you can make just simple 10% gains in each of those 5 areas, just 10% gains in each of those 5 areas, it'll allow you to add anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 to your bottom line simply, right? And that's the big thing that a lot of businesses got to look at. And so I'll give you an example. One of my clients, right? And this is just something that we did in one of those areas. They were sitting and they were running their business, and they thought that they were running their business off of about 40% profit margin. So, quick financial math class.
I'm making 40% on the work I'm doing. Oh, wow.
Exactly.
That's
right.
Awesome.
Right. If you sell something for $100 and it costs you $60 to make it, you're making $40 on it. That's 40% gross margin. Right. So they thought they were making 40% gross margin, but they were actually making 27% gross margin, right?
Still not
And
bad, but
still not bad.
not
But
40.
again, and this is gross because then you got to pay for your business and your salary and all the rest of that so that you get to the net. But the thing that they realized was the reason that they were only making 27% is because their pricing model was off. And so while they thought they were pricing in such a way that they were making 40%, they were actually pricing in such a way that they were making 25 to 27%. So what we were able to do is just make a simple pricing change across the board, which basically represented about a 10% increase in pricing. But that 10% increase in pricing represented a 13% change in their gross margins across the board. And that for their business was $50,000 with that one change. Those are the types of things that you can do, just simple, small changes, right? If you've got a company that gets about 1,000 leads a year, right? And 1,000 leads a year isn't, it's not a whole bunch, right? 1,000 leads a year, we're talking a little bit more than 80, 80 to 100 leads a month, right? So you got 80 to 100 leads a month. If you just increase those leads by 10%, that's 2 leads a week. That's it. All we're doing is increasing 2 leads a week. And you increase how much you convert those leads, just a small amount. You can almost double the amount of conversions that you get in that same period.
See, now what you just said there, Rob, is so important because as people start understanding that, wait a minute, increase the leads by 2 increases the probability of conversion. And now you can do the math, guys, simple math. I'm not a math genius, but the math starts talking to me when I say, if I have more people to convert and my conversion rate is X, then it makes mathematical sense that this is going to occur.
Exactly.
So now just those 2 things become the compound ability. More leads leads to more possible and probable conversions.
Yep.
Then leads to all the other stuff. You can literally walk this down. Why I like this, Rob, is you can walk this down and look in your business and ask questions of it. Where's my business at? Why? Right. Now that's before we dig into lifetime value of the customer and all that kind of stuff, right? But when you look this and says 5 areas, Rob said it: more leads, more conversions, more transactions, have more transactions, increase the value, cart value of what you're doing, right? More profits from the same work. You can look at this and wrap this model around your business. Now, of course, some of the stuff that we've just presented are just like blueprints. You want architects to come in. Rob is an expert at this stuff. I'm an expert at helping you create these other pieces. I look at any business, Rob, I look at any business and I go, man, we can add some digital real estate to this. We can add some different processes to this. We can add this kind of thing here. Or I'm really good at saying, you see that waste that's going out? Here's how to convert that into something else.
The narrow, right? Yeah.
Right. So Rob, tell us a little bit more about this, because I think it's something that we just can't let, businesses off the hook with, okay, here are 5 things. And then they go, thank you for that. How do I do that?
Right. No, so one of the big things
for more leads, just on number 1.
So more leads, one of the big things that you want to look at is what we call is a market dominating position, right? And having consensus around what your position is. Randy, you and I teach this. We talk about what's your message and how consistent is your message, your elevator pitch, things like that. The big thing that a lot of people struggle with is when somebody asks you, what does your business do? It's either a big, long, drawn out conversation, or it's something that's really, really small that doesn't talk to the customer, right? Well, we make candles, or we make widgets, or, I own a gym, or, whatever it is. When you talk about what you do, most business owners talk about what they do from their perspective. This is what I do, right? But the thing that you want to get good at is speaking about what you do from the perspective of who you do it for. Right. And so there's a couple of things that we talk about. Number 1, you want to speak to these 2 emotional triggers that that people have, because we are emotional beings that think occasionally rather than, right? Brene Brown says this amazingly. We think that we are thinking beings who occasionally feel, but the reality is we are emotional beings who occasionally think. Every decision that you make because you feel a certain way, and then you rationalize it a little bit later on in your mind after you've made a decision, right? And when we understand that as business owners, that's who your customers are when they're coming to you. And they have two major emotional buttons that need to get taken care of in order for them to even hear what you're saying. And those two questions that are going on in their minds at any time are these. Number one, there's a problem that they have that they do not want, that they are trying to get rid of, that keeps them up at night, right? There's a problem that they're dealing with. And it may not seem like a big problem to anybody else, but to them, it's the most important thing they got to deal with in that moment, right? For a business owner that has to get their taxes done, getting their taxes done is the most important thing right then. For everybody else that goes to H&R Block or TurboTax, whatever, you ain't even thinking about it. But for the person that needs to get their taxes done, doesn't know how to do business taxes, guess what? They're like, God, I don't want to get in trouble with the IRS. I don't want to get trouble. I need to get this fixed, right? It's something that's at the front of their mind, and their emotions are centered around it, right? And then there's a solution that they want. This is the second thing. There's a solution that they want, but they don't know where to find it. They don't know where to get it. They've seen the commercials, they've seen the stuff on TV, they've seen the stuff on Amazon or whatever it is, and that doesn't seem to scratch the itch. And so if you can, as a business owner, get better at speaking to people in that space about the problem that they have that they don't want, and the solution that they want but that they don't have, what you are able to do is you're able to enter the conversation in their head as a guide, as a friend, as a co-creator of the solution that they're trying to get to. And now they see you differently, right? We talk about know, like, and trust all the time. This is how you get them to know, like, and trust you. Because when they were having a problem, you came in not just with a solution, not just with a here, buy from me, but with understanding and hearing them and making them feel like they're not alone in the world with this problem.
That's it. Empathy, right? Say it that way. Empathy. You can't be the person. We've seen this because we've been in positions where we're just like the sage from the stage, or the expert. But the expertise without empathy, they're still not going to buy from you.
Exactly.
Because they're looking at you like, yeah, that's you. You're up here, but you got no empathy. And I've seen it, and I'm thinking to myself, I just dropped some really good stuff. But for some reason, the empathetic part of it was missing, because I went right in. I didn't say, well, tell me more. Why is this affecting you? What's going on? And telling stories from my own life, and basically making that person feel like, oh, they understand. They're just like me. Right. So think about that, what he just said. So using language to draw people in. We just did a whole series on copywriting, y'all. Right? Go check that series out. And, that whole series is how to turn words into income, how to say things in such a way. Now, think about your more lead opportunity. And we do this when we're doing like message labs and stuff like that, right? We say, hey, listen, can you get a person thinking about your business right then?
Exactly.
Where they go. And I always know it with it for me. Hey, you got a card? Depending on how old they are.
Exactly.
Where can I find your information?
Yep.
That's when you know you have done the thing that makes them go,
yep,
I want to know more about you.
Exactly. Another question that I love in that space is, how do you do that? You want to make them curious about who you are, right? Because, and the key, and I don't want people to miss this, because there's a nuance of this whole process. And the key is this: they're already thinking about stuff. They're just not thinking about you when they think about it. What your ability to craft your message does is it makes them think about you in connection with what they're already thinking about. Now you are familiar. You are no longer alien.
Empathetic. You've entered into, and Rob, you talk about this all the time. You got to enter into people's mind where they're at, not this mess you want to give to them.
Exactly.
Right. And I just literally came off a weekend long coaching session around this idea of messages. Right. And one of the top things, and this is something that I had to switch, because I think that people are there for one thing. Hey, I want to, get my message right. So, and then they want to talk about something totally different.
Exactly.
And I found that in probably 30% of the cases. Right. So I said, I started off the question like, what would you like to work on today?
It's always my
Now we
first
know
question
what
in
it was
coaching.
supposed to be about, but asking that question now keeps you in a position where you're not talking about something they don't care about. That's
Exactly.
not in their head. Now I would
Exactly.
bring it back around if it was like, okay, well, I want to work on this. And they're like, well, you know, you're here for messaging, but then I'd have to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I asked that question, hey, and how will you know when we have successfully done that?
Exactly. There's an old saying that goes, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yep. Yep.
And in business, the original question we were talking about is how do you get more leads? One of the ways that you get more leads is that you get more people to hear your message, who your message is actually for. What a lot of you all are out there doing is you're going and sandblasting and shotgunning your message out to an entire crowd. And a lot of you, what you're doing with your messages is you're going out and it's like going to a crowd. Hey, you, right? You're going to get a couple people that's going to turn around just because they're interested. But since none of them are named you, most of the people going to ignore you because you ain't talking to them, right? And that's their feeling. You ain't talking to me. I got stuff to do. But when you go to that same crowd and you know that your client, their name is Sarah, and you know that Sarah is dealing with a particular thing, right? And you go to the crowd and you can say, hey, Sarah, are you tired of dealing with that thing you're dealing with? Every Sarah that's dealing with that thing in that crowd turns around. And that's the thing, that's the reality of having a message that actually enters the conversation in the mind, that's going on in the mind of your customers. You know that your ideal customers, right? I've got a number of different coaching clients, right? I've got a company that does signs. I got a company that does cheesecakes. I got just a bunch of different things. One company that hauls trash away, all the rest of the type of stuff. They have different people that they're trying to reach, and they have different problems. And it's important that you understand what the problem is. And the way that we always explain it to our clients is like this. Over here is that problem that they have that they don't want. They're stuck on this side. This is where they live. Over here is that solution that they want, but that they don't have. And there's a gap between the two. They don't know how to get from here to here. You, before you can convince them of your bridge, you first have to get them to see that you understand the gap. You have to get them to understand that you see the world the way they see the world, that you understand exactly what it is, that you feel the pain that they feel over here with this problem, and that you understand the bliss that's going to happen when they get over here, because now they know that you get it. Now they're willing to hear about the bridge that you built, because now they know that you can answer the questions that they're going to have about that bridge. Does that bridge actually get me there? How dangerous is that bridge? How fast can we go across that bridge? How much money is it going to take me to get across that bridge? All of those things that they're going to have before they're ready to cross the bridge, they now can trust that you have that information. And here's the key. Here's one other key that we'll drop right now. And this goes towards your more conversions, right? So we got more leads now. We got more people that's interested in the bridge. Now, how do you get more people across the bridge? The way you get more people across the bridge is two different things. Number one, you get more people across the bridge by understanding that everybody's not ready to go across the bridge right now. The studies consistently show that of 100 people in a room that have your problem and want your solution, 1 to 3 of them will be ready to go across the bridge at any one time that you're offering to take people across the bridge. Right? 1 to 3% of the market is ready to buy at any point in time. What most people do is what we call tactical marketing. Most people focus on that 1 to 3%. And so everybody is trying to get that 1 to 3%. So that 1 to 3% is getting bombarded. And it's really difficult to separate yourself from all of the stuff that they are getting at that 1 to 3%. But here's the key. Two factors that y'all need to pay attention to. Number one, there's 97% of people who have the same problem and have the same 97 to 99% of the people have the same problem and want the same solution. They're just not ready to go across the bridge yet. But that gives you more time to distinguish yourself with them so that when they're ready to go across the bridge, they're not hearing all that noise. Right? But here's the other key. 80% of sales transactions happen between the 5th and the 12th time a company and a person interact. 80%. That means 4 out of 5 sales come not in that 1 to 3% segment where that's the first time you're interacting with them. But 80% of sales come when you have interacted with them 5 to 12 times over a period of time, so that when they're ready to buy, they have know, like, and trust with you. So the way that you get more conversions is that you take people along their buyer's journey instead of just trying to pluck them out when they're ready to cross the bridge.
Man, you just got gold, everybody. The buyer's journey. Whose journey? Buyer's journey. Whose journey? I'm going to say that over and over again until you go, not mine. Exactly. Not yours. Speaking to people where they're at, finding out that thing, agitate. Sometimes you agitate a problem, right? We're not going to go in that today, but sometimes you agitate a problem. You let people know, yeah, you got a problem. Why? As evidenced by this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. Right now, if Rob is going into a company, he says, well, you got a problem. They go, well, no, we're doing fine. I'm making 40%. And then you say, not really. If you're making 40%, the problem.
Now, if they have the results of 40%,
I can imagine Rob, if they say, I'm good with 27. Well, then they're just fooling themselves.
Right.
If you can go in and says, would you like to get a true 40? Mm-hmm. Because a true 40. So what you're doing then is, again, that customer's journey. If the customer says, I'd like to make between 27 and 40%, well, you might not get that customer. But if they says, I want 40%, and then you could say, well, then would you like my help?
Exactly. And the key is, you don't need that customer when they're like, no, I'm good with 27%. Okay, when you're not good with 27%, let me know. Yeah. And until then, I'll give you some reasons why 27% is not really what you're trying to get, because you told me that you're trying to get over here and 27% doesn't get you there. So I'll just keep talking to you every once in a while, not asking you for business, not doing, just, hey, you said that you wanted to be able to do healthcare for your employees. At 27%, you can't do healthcare for your employees. At 40%, you can do healthcare for your employees. Just thought you should know.
That right there
Talk to you later.
Lets them know, hey, you really do have pain, agitate the problem, right? And oftentimes, Rob, I love what you said there, man. You said, look, first thing you got to do in the conversion process is understand that not everybody is ready to accept that help. Man, exactly. I can't tell you, you look at a situation, and everybody out there, if you like what you're hearing, smash, the subscribe button, share it, tell all your friends. We really want you to start looking at this stuff as, here's my moments, here's my time, here's my 30 minutes, here's my 15 minutes with Rob and Randy, and they're telling me a way I can improve my business right now. And use this stuff, but let us know how you've used it. Give us an idea how what we're talking to you is working for your business, right? Because it helps us craft our messages differently, and it helps us craft what we're doing to make sure we're on the right track. So, do that for us, and we would certainly appreciate it. Now, if you want us to come in and do some work for you and do some work with you on this, then, all you got to do is send us a message, and we know what to do from there, right? Because we really want you out there doing some really, really good businesses, and we've got some very specific and special skill sets to help you do that. But when you said, Rob, I love this, not everybody's ready. Why is that? Right? I want to wrap this up with why is that? You guys have the 5 things that you can do to improve your bottom line.
Right. No, it's a really good question. And the whole idea is that a lot of times people think that being ready to buy is this thing that happens. And it's not a thing that happens. Like we talk about, it's a journey. And the journey goes, like Randy said, a lot of people are unaware of their problem or unaware of the solution. They know that something's not right. They don't know what they want as the outcome. They haven't really gotten to it that far. They haven't had to deal with it long enough. And similarly, a lot of times people don't realize that there even is a solution, right? And so the first question that they have when they're along the journey is they become aware that there's a different way than the way that they've been doing it. They become aware that there are solutions, that there is a there over there. And when they're in that section, they have the question that they have constantly going through their mind is, why should I do something different? What is the benefit from me doing something different? It's like that company that was like, no, we're good with 27%. They felt like they were good with 27%, but it was because they didn't realize that 40% gets them to the healthcare for their employees that they wanted. And they didn't realize that those two things were linked. And because they didn't know that, they didn't have a reason to buy. But that doesn't mean that they're ready to buy now. That just means they're like, oh, I didn't know about that. Okay, good. So now I'm looking for that solution. But remember, we talked about there's two emotional questions that are in people's minds. One is a problem that they have that they don't want. But then when they find a solution that's for that problem, they start having a solution that they want, but that they can't find. Now, part of the reason that they can't find it is because in everybody's buyer's journey, they have to go through, right? First thing that goes is you get excited about the new solution. You're like, yes, new horizons, everything is great. And then you get that little nagging voice in the back of your head. It's like, but what about this? But what about that?
Boogers.
Right? And that's a reality. That's part of our human evolution of a survival mechanism. Says, wait a minute, this is different. Different is dangerous. Let's make sure different isn't dangerous and doesn't kill us. And that is actually very beneficial and very powerful. It's something that we don't want to just dismiss because it is the thing that has made us, right? Survival of the fittest. If you look at, human evolutionary biology, it's the thing that keeps us surviving. And it's the thing that makes the fact that you are here is because you are part of a line that has been unbroken since the dawn of time, of people that were cautious enough to reproduce, right? There's a whole bunch of lines that did not continue because they weren't cautious enough to make sure they did what they did, right? So as we go through, that's normal. Understanding that your customers go through that, then you are there to present to them, hey, you're right. There are things to be worried about. Here are 10 things you need to watch out for when you're trying to increase your profitability. Here are 5 things that you need to look out for. Here's what the industry standards are, so that when you're going to find someone to do this with you, you make sure that you have somebody that checks all of these boxes, right? Again, you don't have to be talking about yourself. You're giving them information. You're giving them value. You're helping them understand the part of the journey that they're on. But what happens is every time you do that, you're walking alongside them. You are the guide to their hero's journey. You are the person that they are trusting, because every time they hear from you, something better happens in their lives. They move closer and closer to getting ready to go onto that bridge. And so now when they get to the bridge, you've been guiding them all the way to the bridge. Who do they choose to take them across the bridge?
You. And
exactly.
There you have your more leads. There you have the opportunity to convert them. Right now, we're going to go into some of the other steps in some other weeks coming up. We're going to be introducing some different things. We talked a little bit about this. We're going to be bringing some folks on. I'm right now getting them on the schedule. We got one person that doesn't do the same times that we like to do our sessions, right? That work better with our schedule. So we're trying to work some things out, bring in some different perspectives, and you guys let us know if you dig this, or you just say, look, get rid of them. Let's just listen with Randy and Rob, and let's just rock it like that. But hopefully today we've given you just some entry points for you to see how you literally, the 5 things you can do to make more money in your business, right? Think about it. Let's go ahead and recap, Rob. 1, more leads. 2, more conversions. 3, have more transaction, make more transactions. 4, how to increasing the cart value of what you're doing. And at number 5, when we hit on that, it's going to be powerful. More profits from doing the same work and doing less, like Rob talks about, right? This is the powerful stuff. And you saw what he talked about in number 1, starting with languaging. Can you get more leads from just what you say that excites, right? Gets people emotions so worked up that they go, what? You could do it. Then they at least are curious. And then you got all these buy buttons out there. We're going to talk a lot about that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Right? Having those buy buttons out there, when they look you up, they go, oh my God. We hear it all the time. I just had a guy just recently says, I've been watching your stuff for a while because I heard you on this podcast. And I've been following you and your stuff up. So I decided to email you, right? Because I had the button that says, here's how you get in touch with me. Right? And then it's like, well, can we do a one-on-one? Because that's that. I want to see if they're empathetic. I want to see. And I closed the guy simply because here's the opportunity for that person to know me. They do that from the outside sometimes, right? They check you out. And then to see if what they're talking about or what you're talking about is what they need within their customer journey. And he says, you seem to be the perfect person. So that allowed me to go, maybe I'll do a email about this, right? That's what we're talking about when you're starting to make profits from the same work.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about that, y'all. We'll get into it. We hope you had a good time today. We
Much
will
more to
see
come.
you on the next week when we put this next one out. I'm telling you, I've been, we got way more stuff. We got so much stuff now, everybody. We're probably going to package it all, put it into a program, a little something for you. We'll give parts of it away. Be on the lookout for that. But we're going to be bringing some interesting things. Maybe we got some membership. Maybe you guys want to see us every week. You want us to speak directly to you.
Mm-hmm.
You let us know. We'll create something for you and get it going. All right. We'll talk to you next time, everybody.
Awesome. Have a great one, everybody.